Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Nalo, and I was right. Paris capsules have gone up instead of down, and today we're going to talk about that, what it means for the short-term holders, and how I'm expecting Paris to go in the future. We'll get into that after a word from our sponsor, Skins Monkey. Everyone knows the richest monkey is the one with the most bananas. If you want to get some bananas for yourself, check out the sponsor of this video, Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is the easiest way to trade out your dusty old skins for some bright and shiny new ones. Skins Monkey has a clean and easy to use UI, and using my code Nalo will give you two different bonuses. First is a free $5, and the second is a deposit bonus. And even if you don't have any skins to trade, Skins Monkey also has you covered with daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways that you can enter completely for free. So make sure to check out Skins Monkey with the link below. Alrighty, so for the first segment of this video, I want to go ahead and just, take my credit. While many others folded, and there was a lot of negative rhetoric floating around, I didn't fold. But more importantly, why didn't I fold? How did I know that Paris wasn't going to turn into another RMR? Well, the reason for that is actually pretty simple. You see, a big problem with the current CS investing community is that they over-rely on metrics that don't actually mean anything. I think a lot of this has to do with the larger investing community needing to feel justified in what they believe, and going off of just qualitative reasons for investments performing well doesn't exactly feel like the most solid foundation. A lot of CS investors come from the stock market or other markets, where data is all over the place and massively used for determining investments. The main problem is that the CS market is not like those markets. Supply and demand is not linearly correlated in the CS market. Demand has a much bigger effect on item prices than supply does. And this is not something that I'm just preaching now, by the way. It's something that I've witnessed and talked about for a very long time. I had a comment on one of my videos saying that I basically have qualitative-based takes, while investors crave quantitative-based takes. And while I don't disagree with the comment assumes that quantitative data is going to get you pretty far, when in reality, it won't. Now, there are a myriad of examples that I can give here, but one that I think is going to be the easiest to understand is covert case items. For example, if we look at the Huntsman case, we have the AK Vulcan and the M4 Desert Strike. These are both covert items. They have the exact same chance to appear, both from a case unboxing and from a trade-up. For example, if you were to put 10 Huntsman pinks into a trade-up, you would have a 50% chance of getting the AK Vulcan and a 50% chance of getting the M4 Desert Strike. Trade-ups and case openings are the only way to obtain these items. Now, essentially, that just boils down to say the Vulcan and the M4 Desert Strike have the exact same chance of existing. Despite this, the Vulcan absolutely dwarfs the Desert Strike, totally blows the Desert Strike out of the water in terms of price performance. Now, to someone that were to base all their decisions on pure raw data and supply numbers, this just wouldn't make any sense at all. But to someone who has experience in the CS market and in other digital game markets, this actually makes perfect sense. The reason the Vulcan is so much more expensive than the Desert Strike is simply because the Vulcan has a lot of demands and the Desert Strike has little to no demand. It has very, very little to do with the supply of the item. To further illustrate this point, look at Factor New Op Dragon Lores and Factor New Blaze Oranges. There are far more Dragon Lores in existence, and yet it holds a far higher price. Again, it's something that doesn't make any sense when you look at the supply numbers, but it makes perfect sense when you realize that demand is the more important factor. But what does all this yapping actually have to do with Paris? Well, the main thing I want to talk about is the rhetoric behind Paris. When it came to Paris, a lot of people were talking about supply numbers. Many were saying that Paris had far too much supply, that it was overinvested, and other terms like that. Now, although this has data and calculations behind it, it's actually extremely narrow-minded. Now, the truth is, Paris does have a ton of supply. It was the longest running major sale we've ever had, and it was in the shop in one of the most hyped periods that we've ever had in CS. So even if the calculated supply numbers are wrong, it's still safe to assume that Paris has an absolutely insane amount of supply. But despite this, Paris has largely succeeded in the short term so far. At the time of this video, the majority of Paris capsules on the Steam markets are sitting at around 34 cents, which after Steam tax, and provided that you actually bought the capsules on Steam as well, that's already a 3-cent profit per capsule. If you bought 1 million capsules, you'd be sitting on a $30,000 profit already. But how is this possible? Paris' supply was so insanely high. Well, it's because people really like Paris and they really want to buy it. The reason that RMR largely failed as an investment, at least in the short term, is because RMR was essentially a double negative. It had really high supply and really low demand. There was not only a ton of capsules floating around, but no one really wanted to buy them and open them anyway. Now, the middle ground here is Rio. Rio didn't have very high supply, in fact, it had extremely low supply. Despite this, Rio's performance was very lackluster, and it's because people just don't want Rio. There is not demand there. So anyway, I know that's a lot of random examples, but hopefully it demonstrates that you shouldn't base your investing decisions simply off of supply. You need to actually critically think about items and determine how much people actually want them. That's why even though everyone was saying Paris was going to fail and pushing around these supply numbers, I didn't fold, because I knew Paris had an insane amount of demand. And by the way, this isn't just something that's exclusive to the CS market. If we look, for example, at Roblox, which has an extremely similar market to CS, there are items that literally have double-digit supply that are far cheaper than items with 4-digit supply, because people want the items with 4-digit supply, and people don't care about the items with dozens of supply. Anyway, huge yap fest beside, I also wanted to talk about the strategy going forward with Paris. This will likely be the last video that I make specifically on Paris itself. I'm sure it'll get mentioned in videos in the future for sure, but for now this will pretty much wrap up Paris specifically. So right now obviously we're in the short term. Paris has only been off sale for a couple of days now. The next big event to occur is about 6 months away, and that's the Copenhagen Major. Now, as we saw when Paris first came out, there was a lot of people betting on the design of Paris stickers. We saw very high prices for Stockholm and Antwerp stickers leading up to Paris, because if the Paris stickers looked anything like Rio and they were bordered or they just looked trash in general, they wouldn't be competing for the same part of the market that Stockholm and Antwerp are. So at least from an investor's point of view, Stockholm and Antwerp would have been a really good prospect because they wouldn't really have had competition. But obviously Paris stickers ended up being borderless, and they also ended up arguably being the best iteration of borderless stickers we've seen so far, and so Stockholm and Antwerp prices got absolutely nuked. Now, as a Paris investor, this is a precedent that you have to be very wary of going towards Copenhagen. If the Copenhagen stickers are another borderless iteration and they look really good, then it can definitely destroy the prices of Paris, Stockholm, and Antwerp once again. But if they're ugly and bordered, it could really increase the hype for those borderless stickers. So that's the next big event that you need to be wary of, and you'll have to decide if you want to exit before that happens or if you want to go ahead and take the risk. In my personal opinion, I think the Copenhagen stickers will be bordered. I think they've kind of fatigued the whole borderless sticker thing for a little while now, so bordered would make more sense to me, but obviously I'm not an oracle. Now, beyond the Copenhagen Major, we reach obviously into the long term. How long do you want to hold Paris stickers for, and where do I expect them to go in the years to come? Well, for starters, I would say the prospects for Paris look really good in the years to come. As long as CS2 doesn't completely die off, Paris stickers are obviously a very big part of the economy already. People love them, and for good reason. They look really good, and they provide a lot of value to the skins they're applied to. This bodes really well for them in the long term, because that means they'll have a very solid level of demand even years into the future. It's been years since Stockholm, for example, and yet they have been one of the best performing investments that you could have made. It's because, simply put, the stickers look so good, and there's a lot of demand for them. So as the years come on, I expect Paris to continue to appreciate in value. Obviously, since we're talking about years in the future here, it's pretty much impossible for me to give you a direct time that you should consider selling, or that Paris will reach a certain price, for example. So I'm not going to do that, but I can tell you the future looks bright for Paris. So in conclusion, stop considering supply to be the word of God. Be wary of the upcoming Copenhagen Major and what it can do to Paris prices. Anyway, guys, that's going to be all for today. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like on it. Helps me immensely and costs you absolutely nothing. Subscribe to the channel for the best CS investment tips anywhere else on YouTube. Check out my Discord server and my Twitter. I answer all your questions completely for free. And of course, be sure to check out Skins Monkey. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Peace.